Welcome back to our weekly Q&A show where we sit down and answer all of your real estate questions. So feel free to send us your real estate questions and we will be sure to get to them in a future video. Our contact information is in the description below. But like usual, we have selected, usually every week, we just pick 5 questions and sit and talk about them.
Awesome.
So that's what we're going to do.
And like, seriously, I want to hear like in the comments below as like real estate challenges, things that maybe you're doing, challenge us too. Invite us into your groups. We would love to hear from you guys, but also what a lot of us are thinking about, and I know you are as other agents, is the head mainstream media. Are we in some type of recession? What does your real estate market look like?
So many headlines right now, you guys.
I want to know.
So many headlines.
I
want to know what you're actually seeing for sure. Okay, so sorry, I just had to take a step.
Yeah, it's hot outside. Solid 73
We're
degrees.
Inside. It's a beautiful day today here in Oregon.
It is. Thank you, Oregon.
It is a beautiful day. Okay, so our first question, Rosemary, not even going to try to say your last name, asks, I'm taking my real estate course in Michigan, just starting, and was wondering, as listing heavy agents, how do you feel about having vacant lots listed? Are those hard to sell?
Oh, I love this
That's
question.
funny you ask, because I feel like both of us have, in the past, I haven't listed one in a while, but in the past, I used to list them all the time, and you list them now. And I think it's because we work for sell by owners, and for me, I don't really call for sell by owners anymore, but when I did call for sell by owners, they were kind of like an easier to convert. Is that, do you feel the same way about them?
Yeah, some of my easiest listings have been bare pieces of land for sale, but keep in mind, they are harder to sell too, and you got to come in with a realistic pricing strategy because sometimes those sellers just want so much for this land, it's not worth it. Yeah. But ultimately, right now, I'm excited for that question because I used to be very intimidated to list bare land.
It's so easy.
I didn't know, but I didn't know like where to start with planning. I didn't know how to talk to the city. I didn't know how zoning worked. So when you're a new agent, it is intimidating, and I could see why. Like just because you don't have the knowledge about what it takes to build a home on this bare piece of land, are you qualified to sell it? My answer to that is yes. Because you have to list one in order to know the steps to get it sold with the zoning restrictions, planning with the county, that type of thing. And the experience is everything. The more you sell them, the more comfortable you're going to get. But absolutely, go and get those bare pieces of land. I got an 8, lot development. I got a 8-acre lot. I got a 1/4 acre multifamily, multi-zone lot. So there's multiple things you can do, and they are selling in markets like this because I feel like ground space, dirt, it's hard to find.
It is so hard to find. I know, especially around here.
Yeah,
there's
depending
just
on where
not
you live.
a lot, for sale. So I love listing. Like I said, it's been a while for me, but whenever I've listed them, it's always been fantastic. Yeah. Like they don't always sell as fast, but. Yeah.
That's the one thing I'd say, like, watch out for, like, on a listing contract. Be, like, eager but also motivated to sell with realistic expectations. This is probably going to sit a little bit longer than your average residential sell here. I mean,
for sure.
Your niche is so much smaller. You're talking to a completely different audience than, like, a first-time home buyer or a residential home buyer.
Especially if it's zoned for a business or something, then it's, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but if it's a for sale by owner, go get it. There's probably a lot of agents not, because that's kind of been our experience with them. So, okay, this next question, I feel like this is one we could probably just park on and take a minute to unpack.
I love to park.
Park the car. How do you split the roles when working with your spouse as a real estate team? Not really sure where to start with that.
See how we like bounce off each other though? Like that is a work relationship. We're able to bounce ideas off of each other as a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, man, female relationship. Everything in business, but also everything in life, it's just how you bounce off of people. How do we vibe? We vibe pretty good, right? Sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes not.
I'd say so.
We got to work through those though.
So how do we split the roles?
You want to answer? I mean, I can talk all day.
No, I'll answer.
I'd love to talk.
Okay, no, I'll answer. I'm just trying to think because like if you're new here, we don't we don't think through, like, these answers are all off the top of our heads, impromptu, because that's just how we roll. That's how we like it to be. So how do you split the roles? I got into the business before Spencer. We were married. We weren't married when I got into the business. No, because I was 18.
We were still dating.
So we weren't married, but we were dating.
Still getting a license out of high school.
Yes. So I got my license. A couple years later, he jumped in and joined me, and
she forced me to.
Best decision you've ever made. Am I right?
You're absolutely right.
Could you imagine not being in real estate?
I was terrified to get into real estate because how uncomfortable I was being commission based.
Yeah.
Because my whole life, it's a different background than hers. If you understand the workforce versus an entrepreneur, my whole family's in the workforce. And I took a major hit from my side initially. Now they're like, wow, man, Spencer really is doing it. But initially it was so hard. So hard.
But it's been the best thing ever.
Absolutely.
And working together is like the best situation ever, especially having a kid and just all being together. Like, it's for maybe not for everyone, but for us, it's like so amazing and ideal. So when anyway, though, back to my story, I got into the business a couple years later. We got married, and then a couple years later, he jumped in and joined me full time, quit his job, cold turkey, came on in. And we both, I think when you jumped in, we both kind of did a lot of everything. And we really had to just find we had to both try everything to find what things each of us are good at and what things each of us enjoy, and the things that aren't necessarily our strengths. So that's kind of how we decided to split the roles. For example, that's kind of one of the reasons why I don't cold call anymore. You do the cold calling, I do other forms of marketing, and that works. It works for our schedules and how much we want to work and all of that. Another thing is we don't necessarily work with the same clients. So I don't know if a lot of like husband and wife teams maybe do things where they both have the same client, and it's like, you could call me or you could call me.
The reason I think, can we explain why? Yeah, I think it's confusing. It has happened where both of us have had to work with the same client, but in the end, they kind of get confused. Do I message Spence? Do I message Mariah? Do I CC them both? Now I'm obligated to talk to both of them. I don't know. So we want to kind of distribute like, hey, I am a contact for you to call if needed, and realize if Mariah is busy or something that I can be helping you too. Yeah. And that's the benefit when you're getting like 2-on-1. You can take care of your client if one of you are busy.
Yes. And for example, if a client comes in, like I had a client recently who came in from YouTube that was moving here from another state, and I was able to just delegate that client to Spencer because I thought, you know what? I feel like you guys are going to get along better. I think, maybe they're going to be more time consuming than what I'm willing to do right now. So we kind of delegate that way. But
which I think's awesome because Mariah's not looking at it. I've seen like competition based husband and wife duos. I'm not kidding. Like, how many deals are you going to make this month? How many deals are you going to make? Oh, I beat you this month. Like we kind of just bounce off each other, off our goals. We create goals monthly, and this is our quota. This is what we want to do and make. Sometimes we reach it. Sometimes we don't. Most times we are reaching it. Just to hold ourselves to that professional standard we want to create for ourselves. Right. But for the most part, we are 50-50. If Mariah has a question with me, she asks it, and I have a somewhat of a harsher answer than maybe she would, just because of my personality. If it's real estate related, I'm generally keeping it real estate related. I'm not too mushy gushy, and Mariah doesn't like that. That's one of our struggles, I believe. Oh, how you like talk to me sometimes when I'm CEO, man. I'm like, hey, this is happening. Yeah. You're getting sometimes an unhappy client due to this situation. Problem solve. Fix it. Don't rely on me. Yeah. You can do this. You're the agent here. And there's responsibility that comes with having a partnership. Mm-hmm. I hold her accountable. She holds me accountable, vice versa. And ultimately, that's what's going to create your team in real estate goals a success. Yeah. Because if you guys are just like, oh, whatever, and just kind of no structure, especially, then you're going to have a rough time, and you're going to need to figure something out and game plan and problem solve to create more wealth and money.
Yeah. I feel like it took a little bit for us to find like a rhythm.
Yeah.
Because I definitely wouldn't say we have a schedule by any means. It's definitely more of a rhythm because it's very flexible. It changes. We have like, this is generally what I do from this time. And then this is what it's kind of like that, but it's not like a structured, like 9 to 10, that kind of thing.
And it's hard though when you work that way, because from like an outside perspective, our peers especially, they're like, man, you don't have a job. You can do anything you want. And it's like, that's like one of the harder comments I received, because I'm like, yeah, I can be there if you need me to drive you to the airport.
I was just going to say, I'm always the person that gets asked to drive someone to the airport.
Exactly. And you should not be driving to the airport.
Always
Mariah.
at like 8 a.m. or whatever, like as everyone else. Yes, because everyone else has like a job they have to be at that time. I'm always the person that gets asked.
Especially on a weekday.
Nothing wrong with helping your friends, but also...
People like, dude, sometimes they don't understand though, like your role of like, dudes, I actually have a job too.
Or
I have bills to pay.
Right. Or they think that if what you're doing doesn't look like necessarily work, like for example, me going out yesterday. Okay. So I'll just say like our schedule, what we did yesterday, just to make things a little easier.
We got 2 deals done.
Yeah. So yesterday was Monday. I was at home with our daughter until she napped, her nap time around 1, just hanging out with her while Spencer was at the office. Then he came home, put her down for a nap and worked while she was sleeping. And I then left and did worked on marketing videos, which is how I get most of my clients. And that, though, a lot of people I feel like would be like, well, you could do this because you're not working, because they don't consider that like making a video or doing an Instagram thing. Like they don't consider that if that's how you get business. They don't consider that like working because it doesn't necessarily look like it. But if that's in our schedule, like that's prospecting, even though it might just look like making a silly video. Like, no, that's how we get business. And if we don't put that into our schedule, then we won't have leads coming in.
Absolutely.
So I feel like that's probably also why people maybe think that.
Because they don't know how commission
they don't
based
get
sometimes
it.
works.
We're
too.
just running a business and like
that's
marketing.
Because we do have a payroll. I do have a bookkeeper. I do have CPAs.
Yeah.
I have some type of structure in our business that I have to create cash flow to pay. Because when you're in business and a business owner, making payroll sometimes is hard. And that's why I want you guys to comment. What's your economies look like? What's your markets look like? Because if you're seeing it, then maybe I should be seeing something too. And if my eyes are blind, maybe they need to become open by you. That was a great poem.
Yeah, I would love to hear. I'm always just curious. I love hearing what's going on in other marketplaces, like what's working for you as far as like everything we're talking about. If, anything resonates with you, let us know.
East Coast,
love
West
the feedback.
Coast,
yes.
Midwest.
Yes. Okay. So anything else about like splitting the roles in general, though? I feel like the worst thing you could do, in my opinion, as a husband and wife real estate team, is try to do all of the same things and try to all of the same, work with all of the same clients. Because one, like we talked about, if you're sharing clients, obviously that'll get very messy and confusing for them. And it's just a straight up waste of time.
Double up. If you want to save some money, use the same CRM system, same website, obviously. Create one domain name.
Of course. Yeah. Do what you can there.
Try and market and advertise one thing for both of you, meaning like headshots, have both of you in it, and have both of your contact information on everything, your cards, websites, all that. Because if one person doesn't reach, they can just call the other one. Okay, you answered, they didn't. Now they're your client. We're not badgering each other for stealing one of each other's clients, because ultimately it's the same.
We're married, so it's all.
But some people do.
Some people do
and it's
finances
weird.
differently. But like for us, it's like everything is ours, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like who cares?
I just can't believe it, because sometimes I do hear the sad stories, the sad situations. There's divorcee situations. They got into business together, whether it's real estate or not. In my case, my story, it was real estate related. And it just butchered their relationship.
I'm just going to say, though, I feel like if your working situation or something is causing like that many problems, there's probably underlying problems. I think that's a lame excuse. I think there's underlying problems, just like fix those problems.
I think it was a struggle.
I don't know.
Of not having enough money and needing to work more and more and more because they were new to the business. And it's hard when you're a new agent.
Yeah.
Or you have to be a dog.
I feel like if you have also, like, if you were a husband, like for us, I know we get comments all the time from people saying like, how do you work with your husband? I'd hate my husband if I worked with him. But like, I feel like we thrive on working together and being together all as a family unit, like all together, like all the time.
We get to host real estate parties together.
I never
Who
get
doesn't
sick
want to
of
have
you
a real
being,
estate party?
Right, with you all the time. But I think for certain people, because both of our personalities are, for the most part, you can be a little more like, but for both.
Like I was saying, I'm pretty like, I'm CEO. If it's like real estate, something bad's happening, we need to fix this.
Yeah, which is what my business
I'm in the service industry.
Right. But what as I was saying, if your personalities aren't as, maybe, I don't want to say laid back, like we're so laid back, but if they're more controlling, I guess you could say, then it could be hard for husband and wife to work together if they're just like trying to control each other and tell each other what to do. But like, we're definitely not like that, just personality wise. So it makes it easier.
Like maybe,
you know what I mean?
Don't get in that situation.
Yeah. Then maybe it's not best for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you both do happen to be real estate agents, you fall in love, you want to join the team, create as one, maybe work in separate offices and keep your accounts or whatever separate. You know what I mean? So it's
I don't
not
know.
like,
I feel like that'd be a sad life. I wouldn't want to do that.
If you're already in the business, you already have that structure.
That's
so
different.
It's like, why create chaos if you understand each other's personalities? That's what I'm meaning. If you have that type of personality, you're not going to get along. One person does one thing, one person does another thing. You're both successful.
Right.
Leave it be.
That could cause issues. I think also, like when you join me in my business, my personality is not like, I'm do things this way. This is how it has to always be. So when you came in and changed things, to me, it was actually a blessing, because I was like, wow, that's what I needed in my business. Like, you brought a lot of the traits and things that I don't have. And so I feel like it really just worked.
We almost tripled, quadrupled our business.
Business? Our business?
Our business, because it's not yours, it's ours.
Yeah.
Once we started to just let things happen and actually become a lot more structured. This is in her beginning years. And where we're at right now, like I said, like we're just so spoon-fed in this real estate industry, but we work hard. We work really hard. Business doesn't come to me.
It doesn't come to us.
But what I'm saying is, if you get a listing, generally it's going to sell.
Yes.
You know, we're not waiting that 90, 120 day period like we used to.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable what type of markets we've been in.
Yes, I agree. I think at the end of the day, it's really just a lot of trial and error finding. I mean, that's how it's been for us, being willing to go through a lot of trial and error, because
I think one of our best arguments is spending money usually, but like it's
I'm
funny.
A spender, you're a saver.
No. Here's the deal. Like we'll spend the most money sometimes on just like real estate clothing.
Not me.
But like we'll get mad at each other for spending money elsewhere.
Oh.
So like it's okay to spend money if it's real estate.
Oh yeah.
Technically it's not. I mean, but it is, because I mean, I look at like my clothing as like, hey, this is my brand. This is my investment. This is my professionalism. So like we're okay to spend money in that category, but in other categories in like real life, we're like, hey, don't spend that. You don't need that.
But I feel like that's more you with like your suits and stuff. I don't really invest as much in real estate clothing, but I get what you're saying.
You used to. Absolutely.
What was I going to say? Gosh, I had something to say.
I cut you off.
No, I don't think you did. Oh yeah. Okay. I was going to say, when you first joined me, one thing that was difficult for us is I am a horrible teacher. Like, I am not good at,
oh my gosh.
I don't know, like sitting there patiently explaining things to people, breaking it down. Like, I just don't.
I remember
I'm not
being
good at that.
So frustrated.
Yeah. And so he kept looking to me as his teacher to teach him things like,
but you did help, but
yes, it was fine teaching you things like for sale by owners, like whatever. That was great. But teaching you things like the MLS and Paragon and CMAs and like all the back end stuff, I was like, okay, you need to go call our principal broker. And finally we realized I'm not going to teach him those things. He's going to call someone to do it and deal with it. And that was good. Because that was probably the hardest thing for us starting out.
In the early days,
what?
I asked, how do you make a CMA? And you showed me your way to make a CMA. And then I go to a really, really respected agent in our office just to get more like real estate advice. And I was like, hey man, I have this property. How would you create a CMA for it? because it was just a hard property to create a CMA for, and I wanted extra help.
Right.
I was already in the office, and he pulls up this complete opposite system Mariah uses, and he's like,
I'd never heard of it in my defense.
and he's like,
no one ever told me about this system.
Everybody in our company uses this one. We actually pay like through your desk fee to like use this.
Right.
It's like the best that you can do, and it's free to you because you're part of Berkshire Hathaway.
Over here doing it like the old-fashioned
She's doing it from the
manual
MLS,
way.
but like I was like explosion. I was like, oh my gosh. And this is like probably only 4 or 5 months in real estate. So luckily I hadn't gone a whole long time using Mariah's CMA method.
You know, I still like my method. It's not as fancy as
works.
yours,
Mine's
but it
just
works.
really fancy.
Okay.
The presentation side to it, because ultimately we create CMAs for presentation in a way, right? We get our foot in the door. We have a CMA to present. Let's go through this. Mariah's black and white, plain, nothing. Mine's like a book, and it just looks beautiful. It has dialed numbers, plain English. I just remember that though.
See, we learn from each other.
Yeah.
You taught me.
She really didn't know the other systems.
I'd never heard of it. I had no clue about that. So, okay. Anything else to add about
working together?
Working as a team.
Don't get too stressed.
Splitting the roles. Don't take everything so seriously.
Serious.
Don't take yourself so seriously. Don't take all the little things. Like everything isn't that big of a deal.
Literally.
You
don't have a problem, bounce off each other.
Yeah.
Like, be willing to help one another in need, because you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, especially in the prospecting, or somebody uses another agent. So what? Like, Mariah is really good at calming me down in that situation. She always says, like,
good at letting
why
it
do you
go.
feel so obligated?
Yes.
Like, they're not obligated to use you.
If someone doesn't use him that he thought would use him or something. I saw a meme somewhere, and it was going around on the internet, and it was like, if you don't use me as your agent, you're dead to me. And there was like a picture. And I feel like that mindset is so toxic as an agent.
It's not good.
But he definitely is a harder time. I let things go. Like not things, but that is a particular instance that I just don't care about as much at all. And so, yeah, I talk you through it.
She does. Yeah. Because then I'm like, you know what? You're right. There's a million other homes out there.
Yes. There's so many other agents. You don't know why they chose someone. You cannot take it personally. It happened, and it's going to happen again in this business. So if you're going to get offended or hurt every time someone that's a friend or family member doesn't use you, then you're in the wrong business. So,
yeah, because that will happen.
Because that happens
a lot.
If it happened, it's going to happen again.
Just use somebody. They probably know him better than me.
Spencer, you just met him once.
No,
There's
they
the thing.
know
You think
our
everyone
family.
should use
no,
you.
they know our family. I've had multiple conversations with them. We walk our dogs together.
Shut up.
They know we're real estate agents.
You're obviously still not over it.
No, I just don't know. Sometimes it's like people. You're like,
but
I don't.
Spencer, you
why
have
didn't
to
you just ask
understand.
me?
But they probably
Interview me at
They
least.
could have a really close friend that's an agent.
I know.
And if my
what I'm
really
telling
close
you.
friend used someone they've walked their dog with like once over that they just met over me, I would probably be upset too. So I hope they use their close friend. Okay.
They did.
So okay,
I'm over
let's get on to the rest of these questions. Okay. The next question is, how do you earn money if you haven't sold for 6 months or so? Do you have to have a side job in real estate? Okay, this question, the way they asked it,
I know it's hard.
it's very much from someone that probably doesn't
But it
understand
does
our
happen,
business.
though. Like,
Okay.
that's what people don't get. Like, real estate is hard. Like, there's a reason agents go in and out.
Can I answer this?
Of course.
I'll start it off. Okay, you need to always have, obviously, I feel like in real estate, but in any business that you're running, a very, very large reserves. Is that what it's called? Like savings to, regardless, you need to have like hefty, I don't know what I'm saying. You need to have money, okay, saved. So that's not an issue. And then 2, you just simply make sure, and that's like worst case scenario, but just don't let it happen. You need to have cash flow, which is for us escrows, and just don't let it happen. It's so simple. Like just consistently have escrows, and maybe I'm simplifying it, but
Always have 4
it's
escrows.
not that hard. In reality, it's like for us, we will look at like, okay, where are we at with like our escrows and what just closed? Like where are we at with things? And that's kind of how we determine like, do we need to work more hard? Do we need to work harder, or like what do we need to do?
I think we just relate
make
to our
more
goals.
calls.
Yeah.
It's just,
Are you reaching your goals?
And at the end of the day, another tip for this is what I did at the beginning of the year is I broke down exactly how many deals I need to have each month, myself and him, to reach the monetary goal that I like to live off of at the end of the year. And that this is including sale fails, which obviously there's not a lot of them, but just including the, average amount, whatever. And if you break it down like that, it's really not that hard. It's probably, depending on your average price point of the homes that you sell, it could be a lot less than what you were expecting. I know for me it was. And just simplify it. Just don't let it happen. Yeah. Just have escrow. Just I don't know.
You said reserves. I'd say like have 6 months worth of reserves. So what's your monthly payments, costs? Do a little net sheet. I remember we did that when I first got in the business. I said, okay, this is what we make. This is what we spend. I'm going to jump into this real estate cold turkey. I'm not going to have a job. This is what we have to make monthly in order to pay these bills.
Right. However, what I would also add is that reserves is not, the way I see it is like, don't even look at that as like an option. Like that is worst case scenario.
Reserve should only go up.
Worst case. Yes, that should always go up. But also it's worst case scenario. What I mean by that is like having to have that as an option. Yeah. Like just force yourself to get escrows consistently.
But sometimes, in market, it's hard. Yeah. And I can't fault people for
right, but you don't need a ton of them
getting an escrow that month.
Right, but you don't need a ton of them is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like to make a really good living in real estate, you don't need a ton of escrows.
Of course.
Yes. Okay, that's all I had to say. I didn't mean for that to be like insensitive. Was I insensitive?
No, it just happens though. Like some people, seriously, like when you're new to the business, like you'll spend time in other areas and you don't make a sale for 4 or 6 months. Like, what do? It happens.
Maybe have a side job when you're new. I don't know. Okay, next.
It's a hard question. You got to get good advice on what to do.
Yes. Next question. How do you respond to difficult questions from buyers or sellers, Spencer?
Okay. Look me in the eyes when I say this. If you get a question that is just not easy to answer, or it's what's it called, like degrading, like somebody's taking away you from your job that you're trying to perform, like they're saying, oh, I don't need you, I have somebody else, I literally blow through the question and then I start the conversation with another sentence, acting as if that verbiage that they just said to me wasn't real. And usually it works, but if you get like a face-to-face question in the middle of an interview that is just like a really hard question, is that the...
Yeah, like a difficult question, like something that's hard to answer.
Here's something gold, okay? New agents especially, but if you're just stuck with a hard question, say, you know what? That's a great question. Let me get back to you on that.
Yes.
It's so simple. Like, don't like beat around the bush. Don't give them a terrible response, because then you're just a slimy salesman that's just talking out your ASS, and we don't do that. We don't do that ever.
Or something I'll say a lot is like, say I'm working with a buyer and they ask me a question I don't know. There's nothing wrong with if you don't know the question. There's a lot of things as agents, if we're not the listing agent or even the sellers don't know. So there's a lot of things you just don't know about the house that people ask. It's okay to say, I don't know, but I'm going to find out for you right away and get back to you.
By the end of the day.
Yes. And then do it.
And then if you don't have the right answer by the end of the day, you text them at the end of the day and say, I'm still waiting on a response. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Communication.
Okay. Last question is, how long does it take to write an offer in real estate?
It depends.
Yeah. Okay. So when I was new, it would take me, like, I'm not kidding, all day.
What?
I was so to figure things. I had a huge learning. Keep in mind, I was 18. Okay, so I didn't know nothing about nothing.
You read a contract in real estate school. You generally know the forms.
It took me a long time. Also, keep in mind, I was a very listing heavy agent. Yeah. So the listing agreement, I got very comfortable with very quickly.
That is true.
But the offer, like a sale agreement, I was very uncomfortable with for quite a while, because I didn't work with buyers for a long time. And so it took me way too long. Now it doesn't. That's another thing with very quickly you can write one up. But that's the thing with real estate, is that I feel like everything when you first start is going to take a long time. Yeah. And then the more you do it and the more you just get comfortable with it and just improve and grow, things don't take as long and you're work doesn't have to take as long to
It's
do
like riding a
things.
bike, man.
Yeah, everything.
It just comes together and you can get on and start going.
Yeah.
Generally, you're going to just take a quick note. Hey, this is what my client buyer wants to offer.
Yeah.
And then you send it to them 30, 45 minutes later. That's generally what I do. We go do a showing that day before. They get back to me, or I get back to them. I say, hey, guys, what do you think about this property? And they're like, I want it. I'm like, okay, great. What does your offer want to look like? Well, Spence, what do you prefer we offer? What do you think would get us accepted? So then you can give them your input, and then you say, is that what you guys want to do? And they'll say, no, I want to do like actual ask price with this term. Okay, sounds good. So you're taking notes throughout that whole phone call and say, okay, I'm going to write this up, and I'll text you when it's in your emails to sign over DocuSign. That's literally my whole process, and it takes about an hour and 30 max. Generally, I'm going to get everything written in, DocuSigned over within 30 to 45 minutes after the conversation. So with the conversation, it's usually about an hour and a half.
I love that. I'm all about streamlining and systems and just making things as simple as possible so I don't have to do as much and things take less time.
Yeah.
So I have in the notes section in my phone, I have a lot of notes saved. One of them is for buyers for when they're going to write an offer. I have all the questions written out in this note already, so I can just copy and paste it and send it to them, and then they text me back with everything that they want in the offer that I need, and then I write it up.
Yeah.
And we're golden.
See, she does it one way. I do it a different way. I can't do copy paste within an offer. I just want them to share what they want, and if they don't have all the specifications, then I ask, because I know the offer, I know the contract and what they're forgetting about, and I send it over.
That's another to end on. Since this was kind of like the main point of our show. That's another tip for working with your spouse in real estate, or really in anything. I would say is like, let them do things their way. If they do things differently, obviously there's certain things that, like, for us, I know you help me improve how I do certain things, and like vice versa. But most things, if they do it differently, like, there's not one way to do things. Just chill out and let them do things the way they're doing it.
Let it be.
Yes.
Let it be.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in.
I do have one thing to say, because we are in the beginning of June.
Yes.
And you know what? There's a big graduation year, because we have a cousin in the year of 2022. He lives with us, Mr. Lance Van Hoos, shout out, Cascade High, Turner, Oregon. Hoo-yah. We're both Cascade alumni. But congratulations to the graduates of 2022. We're really excited about your future success, whether it's college, whether it's a trade, whether it's even real estate. If you're seeing this video, please feel free to contact us. Mariah and I boldly and kind of sadly aren't too far away from you guys when it comes to age gaps. She got in the business at 18 while still in high school, guys. So if that is something that piques your interest, she's an awesome mentor, and someone that to just ask the simple questions to, and we're both here to work for you guys. So congratulations once again to the graduated class of 2022.
Yes, I agree. Okay, so I guess we come on here every single week. So send us your questions and we'll continue to answer them. And if you listen to this video all the way through, I always have to add, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And we'll see you next week.